You're listening to NacChat with Amy Mahaffey, straight from the city of Nacogdoches, where we chat all things Nac. We make any topic fun, and I'll take you behind the scenes of the oldest town in Texas.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to NacChat. We are on episode 23, and I'm so very excited to have Sherry Morgan from the Convention and Visitors Bureau here to talk to us about some fun stuff today.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well.
Good. We were just celebrating that it was episode 23, and which is also our ages.
Yes.
So that's lucky and coincidental.
My age plus some complicated math, but yeah.
No,
you can get there from
I don't
there.
believe you. I don't believe you. So that's exciting, and I always have to look up the podcast number because I can't. They all run together for me. But you've been on here now. This is your second time.
This is a repeat performance.
Welcome back. So last time you were here, you told us about your hair, which I think is very important to discuss before we really get into it.
Yes. So I did finally go see Dennis, the unicorn hairdresser at Head West Salon on Mound Street. And it was all that I had hoped for and more. So.
And you look great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's a new do for a new job in a new town, and I like it.
So how are you liking Nacogdoches?
You know, I really, really love it. I was just talking to a friend that was passing through on his way to Carthage, and he stopped by, and he and I grew up in Conroe together. And Nacogdoches very much reminds me what it was like growing up in small town Conroe before it became 85,000 people and urban sprawl. But yeah, it's at every corner I turn, there is affirmation that this was the right move for not only me professionally, but for my family, and the community has been very supportive personally and professionally, and I really don't feel like a newcomer, but I know that I am.
Oh yeah, you will be for 20 years.
Yeah, and as corny as it sounds, I woke up the other morning and was thinking that I had dreamed all of this, and I had that moment of, gosh, please don't let that all have been a dream, moving to Nacogdoches and having this great job and living in this great community. And I had that 2-second really schmaltzy pause. I was like, no, it's real. This is really what I get to do. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's really a blessing. So
I had a dream my mom grounded me the other day.
Ooh.
I wore a t-shirt to work and she grounded me.
Sounds fair enough.
Intense.
Really.
When you're pregnant, you have crazy dreams.
That's true.
So
that is.
That's the one I'm able to share, because there's some that are just
not safe for work.
So crazy that my husband's like, please don't
tell anyone.
Talk to people about this. This is embarrassing. and if I start to tell him, hey, I had this weird dream, he's like, just stop. We're right there. So anyway, that's a side note. But I am very excited because you are a member of the Wednesday Rotary Group.
I am, yes.
And in June, Larissa and I get to do a live podcast at the Rotary meeting.
Is that June or July?
In June.
Oh.
July was getting a little too close to my due date,
so
true. We moved it up. So I'm excited about that.
Excited. I think that is innovative. That is going to be, I think that just might be kind of change the landscape of all that we know.
I'm kind of obsessed with the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Can we all have taglines?
So, we do, but they're also not appropriate for it. I have one for almost everybody in the city, but they're all very sarcastic and terrible and kind of awesome.
That just means they're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. And so, now I'm distracted. But I listened to a podcast about the housewives because I'm uber obsessed, and they do this thing called Boots on the Ground, and they do live shows, and they get the people in the audience to come up and they do their boots on the ground testimonies of like when they've seen a crazy housewife out in their natural habitat of cocktail hour or whatever, and they tell all these crazy stories. And so that's in my brain. We're going to do a live rumor mill at the Rotary meeting, and we're going to say, hey, ask us all your awesome burning questions about Nacogdoches and take questions from the audience. So it's going to be a little
love that.
A little nerve-wracking.
I love that so
I'm excited.
much. I didn't realize you were a housewife aficionado.
Well, we'll have to dig into that.
Yeah,
that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
But you're here today to talk about cool stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the Quilt Trail.
Pineywoods Barn Quilt Trail.
It's near and dear to my heart because I grew up with a crazy quilter lady who's wonderful and talented, and my mother can make anything. And she had a book about barn quilts, and this is a thing. So I want everybody to know about it.
It's a big thing, and I honestly had never heard about barn quilts until I first got here in December. And Pauline Patterson, who is with the Nacogdoches Quilting Guild, came to the chamber, and then the chamber sort of referred her over to us at the CVB with this idea that she got from the city of Bonham, Texas. And she and her husband George had been there and had gone on this barn quilt trail, which isn't really an organized type of thing. People just kind of know that it's there organically, and it's one of those things that you do. And Pauline is a very structured person, and she thought, well, if this can be successful, this is something we'd really like to do in Nacogdoches County, because she knows, just the culture here is one that really embraces quilters, and she really thought it would be popular. So ideally, she set up the structure of it, and she wanted just to have 50 people commit to putting up barn quilts by March the 1st. And we started at the CVB. Stephanie Fontenot, our director of marketing, started building out a microsite so that we could take over the application process for people wanting to put them, design and build the barn quilts and put them up and have them on an official trail map. So it officially launched with the chamber, with the application of the first barn quilt in Nacogdoches County, and that one actually resides on the north end of the Chamber of Commerce building. And then last week on Tuesday, in celebration of National Travel and Tourism Week, we celebrated the launch of the Pineywoods Barn Quilt Trail Challenge. So through Pauline and George's efforts, they not only got their 50 by March 1st, they surpassed that and went all the way on to 82 at last count.
Jeez.
And there are some still waiting to be put into the map that the city's IT department helped us to build the storybook map. That's really great. So last Tuesday we were able to announce this challenge. So we went out, and of the 82 barn quilts that are out there, we chose 15, and I myself drove out there and took a wrong turn in Martinsville, and it could have ended very badly, but I rallied. But I picked contextual clues, so people could answer contextual clues at the site of 15 of those barn quilts and be bring it back to the CVB, and they'd get a free t-shirt, Pineywoods Barn Quilt Trail t-shirt that we designed. And surprisingly enough, we had probably 75 people show up to the launch event, and they presented us with a challenge because we had these t-shirts to give away, but they were like, no, we want to buy them. Can we just buy one? I want to buy one now. I want to make sure that you don't sell out. I was like, just do the challenge, and you can just get one for free.
That's so
So
funny.
then we had to come up with a price, and we wound up selling out t-shirts, and we're having to do a reorder. But it really is, it's a nod to the past and how people really, quilts were a way of expressing oneself creatively, which in a time of economic depression, and there wasn't a fabric store, so a lot of those quilt patterns were the scrap of a dress that had already lived its life on an actual child, but you were able to get a pinwheel out of that and then add it to the pinwheel of others and create this really beautiful design, and that appeals to a really intrinsic artistic need to express oneself that sometimes in trying times were overlooked. So it's those history of quilt patterns that are represented on barn quilts that are repeated, and it sort of is given that a new life and a new application. So I guess to backtrack, a barn quilt is actually just a quilt pattern that's translated on either wood or metal by any means. But what makes the Pineywoods Barn Quilt trail different is that we encourage people to think even farther outside of the box. So say a nursery could absolutely do a live succulent barn quilt that, was living and had to be watered, or Yarnia, for instance, could do like a knitted or a crocheted, or there's certainly different applications, and our trail is not one that is so stringent in its design specification. So as long as it is a square, you're good to go.
Well, they had some sort of pattern, and lots of people model them after traditional Americana quilt patterns.
Yeah, and some of them just make them up on the fly. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we encourage that as well.
So the logo for the trail is actually the trees, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then the Chamber of Commerce is a great example of like a classic looking.
Yeah, I believe that one is called House of Cards.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the name. And that's one of the great things about the map that can be accessed through our website is it tells you the name of that quilt pattern and then also the story behind it, if there is one. If that pattern had significant meaning to somebody, if that was a pattern that their grandmother made a wedding quilt for them and they wanted to honor her. So it makes it really interesting to find the backstory behind each one of these.
That's so fun. My mom quilts all the time, and she has always projects going, and it's a true tourism thing because those gals will go to quilt stores all over the state because there's always different types of fabric and different things at different stores, and you meet different people, and they'll go look at the barn quilts and Bonham, and I mean, when I told her, she knew exactly what it was. And so it is a true driver of tourism because there's a whole niche market of these artists out there that are embracing quilting in general. They're doing it as hobbies, and so to be able to sit in your vehicle and drive around town, and and it's about to be really hot in Nacogdoches, so go get an ice cream and drive around, and you can actually, that's one of the things is you have to be able to see it from a public street. So you can go on your phone and look at the map, or can you get a map at the CVB?
We have a printed map at the CVB, and because the content is constantly being updated and added to, there might be some lag between those two.
Sure.
But the online map, you can access it through your smartphone or a tablet that has a Wi-Fi connection, and you can it uses Google Maps.
Oh, so nice.
You can get your directions. Some of them are a little tricky to find just because your eye isn't trained to look for them, so it sort of just becomes part of everything else that's going on the front of a house or on the front of a fence. Because I had to drive up and down 7 East a couple of times, even though I knew that was the address I was looking for. And then as soon as I saw it, it's kind of like those magic eye pictures. You're like, oh, there it is. And
it's a snake, it would have bit you.
Yeah, it's bigger in Dallas. But
that's funny.
But, and it's, summer is here and it is hot. Stays light later, so evenings are always a good time after dinner if you're looking for some, it's still kind of too early to turn in, but you still want to be out and do some things. It's a great activity for that. And even before we said anything, we just had a barn quilt with no captioning, no lettering, no anything. We just had it on an easel outside of my office door, and people came in and immediately identified with it. So it is a thing. It's a legitimate thing, and what we're hoping is that through the organizational prowess of Pauline Patterson, we can really be the ones that make it user friendly and can really organize it and sort of set the bar where it comes to that. But it is really, really popular, and I think another thing that sets us apart is we've encouraged businesses. So there's a lot of our downtown merchants that have them in their storefront windows as well, and are participating, and hopefully they see some traffic out of it.
That's the goal
as well. But yeah, awesome. Quilters they're a unique blend. If anybody was looking to open up a business, we get visits and calls literally every week about asking if there's a quilt shop in Nacogdoches, and I understand that there used to be, and now there no longer is. So if anybody just had some extra money laying around, and
that's a great thing to have.
Yeah.
I mean, No, my mother would come more often. That's for sure. She made us she was going to make us a wedding quilt, but then we had a baby. Mm-hmm. So the baby got a quilt. And then she was going to make a wedding quilt after that quilt. And now we're having another baby. So one day I'll get a wedding quilt.
One of these days.
But the good thing is we have 83 barn quilts all over town that we can look at. So that's pretty awesome. And you're right. We want people to come downtown. And so we do have a lot of downtown merchants that are participating in this. And so we hope people get involved.
Yeah. And it is just it's a tie-back thing. It gets people on a visceral level that have that connection with quilting. Because you either kind of, you get it or you don't. Sure. And most people, especially in this geographic area, do get it. I grew up, my great aunt Patsy Brakebill lives here in Nacogdoches, and she's a great quilter, or was in her years. She's in her 90s now, so she doesn't do it that often, but she would do quilt patterns. And but her mother, my great grandmother, is Choctaw Indian and self-taught, and her quilts were never really a pattern, but they were just the tiniest little postage stamp squares, hand stitched together, not neat, just kind of willy-nilly all over the place. But she would make me doll quilts for my dolls, and that's what she did. I remember being in 7th and 8th grade, and she would sit in her wheelchair, and that's what she would do. And those, to me, they're the softest. They hold the most memories because they're not perfect. They're perfectly imperfect. And those are the treasures, but they're no less special than my Aunt Patsy's that follow like a formal pattern. So there's access points all over with things like that. And I've got quilts that were purchased for me, that I don't even know who made it, but they still have meaning.
That's awesome. Well, we also have another fun thing to talk about today. We're going to switch gears a little bit, but not really, because this is all going back to tourism.
Yes.
And you have this cool idea that you are actually implementing to bring people to Nacogdoches.
Yeah, it occurred to me while sitting in my office. There are pets all over the place. So you can go to Heart of Texas and you can meet Miss Gracie, and there's cats across in Boss Light. Just all over the place. And then the residents that live in downtown on the second stories, they walk their pets. And I know we had a lot of travelers that would stick their head in, and you could see that they had a dog on the outside, but they wanted to make sure that it was okay that they brought their dog in. So, it occurred to me that we really are pet friendly, but we're missing the mark when it comes to communicating that. And so that led to are people traveling with their pets, and is that a niche market that we could easily tap into that's not going to deviate? It's not going to be asking people to change their business model or business plan, but if it's something that we're already doing and we just need to label it and communicate it, then that's easily enough accomplished. So I also had a requirement for my travel and tourism college capstone project to come up with a marketing plan to get my final accreditation. And I also wanted a puppy. So at the convergence of those three things, Charlie Doches was born. So yeah, we found in Tyler, Texas, a family, backyard breeder, had a litter of Frenchton puppies, which are 50% French Bulldogs, 50% Boston Terriers, and they had a little male puppy that was supposed to go to another family, and the breeding family just didn't get a good feel for it, and so held him back. Aww. And I ran across them online and reached out to them and said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Would this be something that you'd be on board with? And it just happened.
Of course,
that his personality is what he really wants. Just, he's not yappy. He's not, he's just a very calm personality. Right now he's still a puppy, so he's a little bitey and can be a little spastic. But ideally, he loves to greet people, and we're able to have him over in the visitor center half days so he gets accustomed to the traffic and the noises, and he really has just made it his own. So he's a little male. He was born on Valentine's Day, so I think he's like 12, 13 weeks old. His name is Charlie Doches, and he's named after Mr. Bright, Charles Bright, who was known for his, among many things. He was very altruistic and one of the cornerstones of Nacogdoches, especially in the down area. But he was known for his love of dogs. And
so it's just perfect.
Yeah, it really was. It just all kind of melded together, and we're kind of making it up as we go, but it all works. So he's been incredibly well embraced by the community. We're looking into getting him some basic obedience training, because both of those breeds happen to take very quickly and very well to training. They're really smart.
That's good.
And the Wright family with Lone Star Feed and Fertilizer reached out early on and offered to sponsor him with dog food, so he's part of the community now. Aww. And so we're excited. We have people stop by the visitor center now that have heard about it, and they come in just to see Charlie. And I really had no business getting a dog for my family. I'm still unpacking and moving, and that was the last thing I needed.
Oh well.
But I took one for the team. But people, come in and they can get puppy love and then walk away. And they know that it's there. But I've got 2 people that have volunteered to take pictures for me for his Instagram and his Facebook, and people are really invested in him and the potential that he holds. So what we want ideally is for him to be somebody that can be a brand in his logo that can help us identify those businesses around town that are pet friendly, so that people don't have to stop and ask, but we can come up with sort of a accredited program to say this is a friend of Charlie or whatever, and so they'll know the parameters. And then also with that, when you're inviting pets downtown, then there comes other issues that are dealt with. So bag stations and play areas and watering stations, so that we're not just pet friendly in name only, but we really do back it up with some promises, because more and more people are traveling with their pets. The big millennial market travel with their pets in sort of that whole redefinition of what a family is, whereas my parents would never have dreamed of traveling with our dogs growing up. We always had dogs, but they were dogs, and we would find some. But but now these animals are truly embraced in the family, and travel and hotels are looking at that. So not every hotel in Nacogdoches is pet friendly, but most do have a pet policy. So it's part of the changing landscape, and we're hoping to be a part of it, not to capitalize on anything in any way, but really just to shine a spotlight on what was already here.
Sure, yeah, and we talked about this probably a year ago with the Downtown and Main Street Advisory Board of, we have a lot of stores that are pet friendly, and you don't have a way to designate it, but it's like what you observed, they're everywhere. Or we had merchants that had people walking their dogs, and they'd stick their head in and go, "Can I bring my dog?" And they would go, "Yeah," or they would see somebody on the bench waiting, and they would say, "Come in," And so it's cool that you've kind of like put a brand with it, and we've like almost sensationalized what already was, and that's so cool. And you got a puppy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I got a puppy.
So at the end of it all, who cares? He's cute.
He's cute, and he's relatively easy. And my background is early childhood education, and my oldest daughter is a very gifted illustrator. So part of the marketing plan that I had to put together for my capstone project is to a 1-year, 5-year, and a 10-year marketing plan. And ideally what we want to do is create a series of children's books with Charlie as the main character, but exploring the historic stories of Nacogdoches and introducing those to a really young audience. So it could be Charlie and the 9 flags, and we can talk about why we've got 9 flags that have flown over Nacogdoches as opposed to the 6 flags over Texas, or Charlie and the Mound Builder. So we can talk about our rich history with the Caddo Indians, or Charlie and the Red Brick Streets. But then there's also crossover to help the city and downtown if we wanted to have Charlie go visit the fire department or the police department.
We do.
Check. Or downtown merchants if they would like Charlie to come in. And I would like to start doing some pet events so that we can have a social tie-in with it, and then also we could take advantage of the opportunity to have educational segments as well, where we've got veterinarians that come out and talk about pet safety as we move into summer months or the holiday months.
I love it.
And then also with the animal shelter, we can do community outreach. If there are needs that they have, we could do collection drives. But the back of the CVB is known as the Plaza de Principal, so I'd love to initiate a little program that's like Plaza Pet Pals or something.
Oh, yeah.
Where they can come and just sort of a safe place to gather off of the street and just have fun.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
And you have a puppy.
Yeah.
So let's just not even.
Well, we all have a puppy.
We do.
Yeah.
You're right. And I feel kind of bad because the last 3 or 4 times I've seen you, I kind of look at you and go,
Where's Charlie?
Are you walking a room and I hear people go, oh. And you're like, yesterday I think I said, she has to work. She can't just play with the dog all day. So I get it. But it's you look for, it's like with my kid. People look for her and they go, oh, it's
here.
just
How are
you. Okay. So I'm sorry about that, but not really because I think that you understand.
We just put up a doghouse in my office for him, and then we got some gates so that he still has my entire office. But he has been used to having run of the entire visitor center, and he was highly offended all day yesterday. You would have thought he was in Attica. It was just awful. Awful. Spoiled.
Well, we get them so we can spoil them. That's the
true.
point. So don't feel bad about that.
That's true.
But I appreciate all of y'all's creativity. You have an awesome team at the CBB, and it would not happen without all of y'all's awesome brain power. Quilts, dogs, whatever it is, we always want to bring new people to Nacogdoches, and
That's
so
true.
y'all are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Happy to do it.
And I'm sure we'll do more episodes, but we will definitely see you at Rotary for our live podcast.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to start working on my tagline.
Okay. Well, I can help you with that, but we're going to have to sign off to do that.
All right.
Sometimes they're a little racy. So thanks for being here, Sherry.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.